Equal protection for all minorities, Hernandez versus Texas. Introduction. The case Hernandez versus Texas, which occurred on May 3, 1954, defined how the American legal system handles discrimination charges against indigenous people. Based on this case, the Supreme Court concluded that the 14th Amendment applies to all forms of racial discrimination against minorities and other ethnic groups vulnerable to discrimination. Peter Hernandez, the defendant in this case, is an agricultural laborer. The defender had murdered Joe Espinosa and was being tried in a court of law, thus violating human rights. The defendant's lawyers argue that he was not afforded equal protection under the Constitution's 14th Amendment. Case outline. Title: Hernandez versus Texas, 347 U.S. 475, 1954. Facts of the case. The first fact of this case is that the jury must focus on racial orientation and other factors to determine whether or not citizens require equal constitutional protection. Another factor that the court must consider in this case is determining the discriminatory factors. This is critical because the court would require sufficient evidence of racial discrimination to justify the defendant's plea. As a result, the court will have to investigate the situation of racial discrimination against minority groups in Texas, such as Mexican Americans. History of the case and legal questions. Mexicans are considered white in Texas, and the 14th Amendment does not protect them. According to García, Texas law denied Sanchez's request for equal protection under the 14th Amendment. Mexicans are now considered part of the white family and are protected from racial discrimination. The main question for the court was whether the 14th Amendment could be applied to all minority communities in the United States rather than just African Americans. Decision or holding. As in the case of Sanchez, his plea was rejected by both the local court of Texas and the Texas Criminal Court of Appeal. According to reports, the Supreme Court accepted his pleas and justified the 14th Amendment by implying it could protect all minority groups against racial discrimination rather than just African Americans. Conclusion. The defendant's legal counsel presented the jury with several issues to consider in deciding the case outcome. First, the legal counsel claims that people of Mexican descent were not given a fair chance to serve as jury commissioners. Later, the Supreme Court considered the issues raised before it and determined that the 14th Amendment applied to all racial discrimination against minorities in Texas and Black Americans.